All right, thank you so much for staying with us. I told you we have 3 conversations today. Promises to be very interesting. Now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has blamed hoarders for the escalating food prices in the country. According to the FCCPC's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Tunji Bello, some unscrupulous produce merchants are stockpiling newly harvested grains, causing artificial scarcity and driving up food inflation. Mr. Bello addressed key stakeholders, including market leaders, farmers, transporters, and service providers at a town hall meeting in Kano, saying FCCPC's investigators uncovered a pattern where certain merchants were hoarding grains now to manipulate prices, further worsening the country's inflation crisis. Well, let's head to Abuja and talk to the Director of Surveillance and Investigation at the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Mrs. Bola Adeyinka. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program. Good afternoon, Mr. Adeyinka.
Good afternoon. My pleasure being here.
Great. I think it's good to start with that meeting at Kano, that held in Kano State. What was the thrust of it? Some investigations were made and all of that. We can't generalize this. I know you will agree with me, but tell us, what were the findings? Then we'll take it up from there.
Thank you for the opportunity again to speak to Nigerians and particularly enlighten more on the activities of the Commission with respect to the rising cost of food in the Nigerian market. It's a situation that calls for all stakeholders to come together and think of ourselves as a nation, think of our brothers, our sisters. Everyone is a consumer in Nigeria, and you're a consumer of a product or a service at whatever level that you are, whether you're a business operator or you're a government worker or you're a politician, you are consuming, and one of the most important consumption is food. So the Commission embarked on a market inquiry to find out why do we have such escalating price on food products. We know that quite a number of these food items and products are produced in Nigeria, and we shouldn't be having such high costs of the food that we produce in our country. So the market inquiry began taking a sample of major food markets across our nation, and the discoveries were quite alarming. Significant among them is the fact that food shortage and supply to our market was as a result of unscrupulous practices of key stakeholders in the food value chain. When we say key stakeholders, you know, the food value chain is not just from farmers. We have a whole lot of stakeholders that are involved between the farm and the fork process when the consumer actually is able to have purchase these products in our markets. So we found that especially with grains, the practice, not that is new, has been that people will generally purchase products, the grains, off the farm, the local farmer, and store up these products with intent to create artificial scarcity in the market. And we know that the basic law of economics is demand and supply. Once you are able to reduce supply and there is demand, prices would automatically go up. So in a situation where another critical stakeholder in the market, the unions, the market unions, further engage in practices that are targeted at increasing the cost of food products in our market, by limiting supplies into the market by way of quota and rationing, by limiting supplies into the market by way of quantity to be supplied, days to be supplied, and so many collections that are basically not accounted for. At the end of the day, the sellers that pay all of these costs transfer costs to consumers. Even as I speak to you, report reaching us, in spite of all engagements to ensure that they comply with the provisions of the FCCPA, the collusions and the cartels that are still going on is alarming. The market is no longer behaving as it ought to behave by the law of demand and supply.
Yeah.
Actors in the marketplace are now taking charge of manipulating prices and determining what we call price fixing, determining the prices of products irrespective of cost structures, limiting sellers to particular suppliers. Even if they can access cheaper products, they are not allowed to bring it into the market and sell. And you cannot even bring other products that you have opportunity to sell. You are limited to the one that you are registered for, in spite of the food crisis situation and food situation in our country. So, for example, if I'm selling vegetable in a market and I'm able to add plantain and add yams, you are not allowed to sell in our markets. In some of these markets, if you try to bring plantain when you are registered for only vegetable, the task force will come, confiscate those products, and even levy you a fine for selling products that you did not register with the union for. So what basically is that the market is not behaving. I mean, we can't supply. We have middlemen that, as I speak to you, information reaching us in a particular state, which we are still investigating, all the products, a very important, stable product in Nigerian families, has been bought up from the stage of planting by two people. So the harvest is going to be given to them, and they determine the price in the market. Everybody has to come and buy from them. Prices of eggs are determined not by the poultry farmer, but by these cartels who come together to buy off the poor poultry farmer's produce. Even before the egg starts laying, he's told the price to sell. I think we need to start looking beyond the government and speak to our conscience now. Food is essential. Consumers need to have food to eat.
Now, allow me to interject now. I like the point made and the background you've put to this conversation. Very, 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 very insightful, you know, telling us what you've seen and all of that. And I know that price fixing and the imposition of levies by markets associations are unethical actions, gouging and all of that. I know that price gouging and all of that, you don't allow that to happen. But my question to you now would be, you found this out? What are you doing? What is next? What do we do? How can we address this ugly trend?
Thank you again for this opportunity to speak to Nigerians and also the entire stakeholders in this food security and insecurity situation we find ourselves. The first thing the Commission did under the leadership of the Chief Executive Officer and the Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Mr. Tunji Bello, is to commence engagement because the law is there. These are violations, and it could lead up to 10 million naira fine, including imprisonment. And, you know, a lot of people are yet to realize that there is a competition authority in the land. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has the mandate to ensure that the market behaves fairly and consumers' interests are well protected. So what we started with is to gather all the stakeholders. Let me just give you a little bit background to the simplest way to explain the food value chain. The farmer produces this product. He takes it to the village farm. The middlemen, the transporters, and the wholesalers transport to the city food markets. The unions then begin to have their own interventions and begin to have registrations and begin to have allocations and fixed prices, then sell to the market sellers. And then the market sellers are the ones who got the aggregate cost passed down to the consumers, who pay for all of these charges. And it's just that every day you go to the market, even with the same stock of goods, the prices changes every day. This is what we call price gouging. You just keep increasing without any basis for that, except that you are anticipating that when you go back to restock, you will not have enough to buy back. So the entire community, the stakeholders, is who we bring together in this engagement towards compliance and towards engendering compliance with the law, so that you will not say you don't know that these practices are wrong. The next, after this engagement and collaborative and call for action, self-regulation, everyone look at it, it's not working. We're almost fast approaching a food insecurity situation in our country that is alarming. So we need, and it's not because there is no food, it's just that the market needs to open up. We need to have access. Products need to have free access into our markets, because the farmers are producing, albeit even if we say that the quantity is reducing, even that quantity is still not getting in to the supply chain for consumers to have access to them. Recently, just yesterday, in one of our markets in Abuja, a woman who is selling vegetables spoke to a mystery shopper. Some of our staff are involved in mystery shopping in the market. Just told her, please, madam, would you buy plantain? And she said, you don't have plantain on your table. You are selling vegetables. She said, yes, but I have plantain under my table. I cannot display it, because if I display it, the task force will seize it and they will levy me. But I want to sell my plantain. This is 2 days ago. Imagine if she has access to bring plantain. Definitely once there is supply, prices will go down. It will discipline all these practices that is happening in the market. But everybody is just saying government, government, government. Yes, what about our own part in the whole market situation that we find ourselves now? So after this collaborative engagement, the Commission will begin to enforce. Okay. We're going to enforce aggressively. Good. Because if people are determined not to comply with the law, we will show them that compliance is what we are set up to do. We are a regulatory agency for the protection of both businesses and consumers. People who want to do genuine business and want to be ethical and want to be fair, you are welcome. And there is a whole lot of market for you to be able to display and have access to, buy market shares ethically, not distort the market with price-fixing cartels, collusions that undermine competition, restrict it, and distorts it. This is why the FCCPA is first starting with collaborative engagement to show compliance. If you see some of the, during our program, we list offenses out. These conducts are not acceptable anymore. Please do not engage in them. Self-regulate. Go back to your unions. You cannot fix prices. People should have access, suppliers should have access to the markets and sell their products at the price that they decided is competitive. That's what is called competitive pricing. The consumer should have choice to be able to move freely in the market and pick products because they are available. Once products are not available because they are being ordered, the fee would have to be high. The prices of the fee would have to be high. The basic products of oranges, banana, rice, plantain, eggs. Can you imagine that eggs that have not been produced or laid, there is already a price to it? How do you price that? How did you do the cost structure? What is the feed-in that you know of that will make you determine the price of eggs before they are even laid by the chickens? It's something that we have to just tell people that we cannot continue with those practices anymore. We appeal to all stakeholders, especially in the food value chain. Yeah. Please, let's think of our brothers as consumers in our practices. Thank you.
So that means a lot of work there for the FCCPC to do moving on, and we'll definitely keep a tab on you. What more do we expect with regards to consultation? I know you've been in Lagos, you've been everywhere. How has that been? How receptive even are the traders to you? Let's wrap up on that note.
Thank you. Lagos, Abuja, and Kano, and we head also for Uyo, just to make sure that we have a regional outlook of what is happening across the nation. Yeah. But let me say that it's been very enlightening and engaging. We've had a lot of contributions, suggestions, way forwards from this engagement. They are the people that are feeling the pinch also. And of course, it's not everybody that is bad. Nigerians are good. We're our brothers' keepers. Well, we have a few amongst us. So we're putting heads together, we're collating, and then we will obviously, like the EVC said in Kano, the president is a listening president. We'll table these concerns to him, and other policies and measures that will be able to further strengthening these interventions where necessary will also be in place. Thank you.
Brilliant. I think that is very important. Director, Surveillance and Investigations, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Mrs. Bola Adeyinka, thank you for speaking with us. We hope to have you again to do an evaluation assessment of all of these moves by the FCCPC to see how the positives coming from it. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Gigi.